Is it still morning?
It's 12:30.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Suzanne Spencer Abel. As Rory said, I'm an alienated daughter, mother, and grandmother. So I've seen this from a lot of different perspectives for a long time. I wanted to talk briefly about the effects of parental alienation on adults who were alienated as children. There's a belief that when a child turns 18, they will have an epiphany and they will suddenly realize, I've been alienated, I need to reconnect with my targeted parent, and everything's going to be wonderful. And that's hogwash. It doesn't work that way. And we know it doesn't work that way because of things that other people have said this morning. When we look at domestic violence and we look at the impact that that has on adults and children, we know that the impact doesn't disappear the moment that the domestic violence ends. And it doesn't matter whether the domestic violence is physical violence or financial or emotional or religious, the abuse is abuse. And it stays with us for a long time. Usually until we take the time and the effort to work it through, usually in therapy. Because abuse affects us at such a core level that it is nearly impossible for us to figure out how to heal ourselves all by ourselves. We need help. Our society has done extensive research about the long-term effects of domestic violence, and we know that it affects our children as well. As one of the ladies said this morning, the impact of abuse is long-term, and it includes guilt, profound guilt, anger, depression, and grief, unending grief. When we live with profound guilt and unending grief, it increases our depression. It's a nasty cycle, and it needs to be stopped. And it needs to be stopped by people who are professionally trained to help us learn to think healthy ways. My dad died 25 years ago, about 20 years before I realized that we were alienated. When I realized it, it touches me to my core. What I lost from my dad for all of the years while he was still alive and I was not allowed to see him or talk to him, it's devastating. But what was more devastating is remembering when he drove from California here to Pennsylvania to meet my new husband and my new baby. And I was so proud. And the minute I saw him, everything my mother had said flooded my mind. And I was unable, as an adult, and I had been married for several years, and I had a child, and I had been working in a job, and I was paying my mortgage and my car payment, and I was making my dinners and doing my laundry for them. I was a responsible adult, and I turned into a 5-year-old at the drop of a hat. I couldn't be pleasant to my dad. I couldn't give him a hug. I couldn't look at him and say, I love you. I could criticize his car, it wasn't new enough. I criticized his haircut, it looked schleppy. I criticized his shoes, they were worn out. I criticized everything about him, and it had nothing to do with him. It had everything to do with what I had been told and gotten to believe over the years. I was cold and judgmental with my dad, and I didn't want to hurt his feelings, but more importantly for me, in my emotional state, I didn't want to make my mom angry. My mom was nowhere around. She and I hadn't had a relationship in years. And still, what was most critical to me emotionally was, it's more important to be rude to dad than to piss off mom. Because I knew from a lifetime of experience with her that having her angry and the consequences of her anger were far worse than hurting my dad's feelings. And I knew he'd get over it. And he did. It was a heart attack. My brother said he died of a broken heart, and I believe it. Our relationship never had a chance, and my mom made sure of that. And then I look at my children, and I think, why can't they have an epiphany? I have done nothing to deserve this. What is wrong with them that they can't see that they've been bamboozled? and then I have a moment of clarity, and I think because they're human, because we as adult children owe it to ourselves to learn about the dynamics of alienation, how it manifests itself in children and in adult children, how the effects of alienation, the abuse, extend well past our 18th birthday, and in fact, for me, went until my mid-50s. As painful as it is to accept that the person we trusted violated our trust, as difficult as it is to accept that the person we needed disregarded our needs, that the person we loved more than anyone in the world loved themselves more than us, this is a hard acceptance. This is difficult and painful and necessary for us to recover and to find the reality of our lives. If you don't have a relationship with one of your parents, I encourage you to consider, just consider, that perhaps you may be alienated. And to us, adult children of alienation, I implore you to take care of yourselves. There is help, there is support. We can reverse the effects of alienation, but we need help to do it. And all we need to do is ask. Thank you.